Identity theft for fun and profit. Don't worry, we're not going to be breaking any laws, but identity is the first of our 4 parts of that IPDO market profiling model. Remember, it's identity, problems, dreams, obstacles. They're the 4 things that we want to know about our market. So let's start with the identity of the market. And that is basically, we want to know, who are we writing to? Who is the market? And what do they have in common? And our goal in answering this question is to find the most narrow description that fits our whole market, right? So remember, the question is, who is the market and what do they have in common? We want the most narrow description that fits that. Now, there are 2 ways you can answer that question. It's called demographic and psychographic. That's basically stuff about them. That's demographic, and psychographic is kind of how they think, if I have to define it in 3 words. And we're going to go through both of those, but let's start with the demographics. So remember, we want the most narrow description that fits our market. So, are they freelancers? Or are they freelance designers? That's better. Or even better, can we work out that we're writing to freelance website designers? Or even better, freelance website designers making less than 20 grand a year. Okay, you see, the more specific we can get, the better. So there's a few categories that you can use to come up with this kind of description, right? There's the obvious ones like age, gender, marital status, where they live, political views, their income, their religion, or any other common demographic features, right? You saw a lot of this stuff in my client survey. There's also some less obvious categories, right? That's like websites that they use, books they read, daily routines, their work habits, words that they use to describe things, their language, their social patterns, where they go out, with who, when, their eating habits, and importantly, like the opposite of all this stuff that they don't do or read or use or so on. And to give you an example, I have a bonus in the bonus video section of this course where I critiqued a sales letter where she didn't quite have this right. And the letter was written as a 48-year-old mom from West Virginia. However, it was talking about things like I was reading science journals and so on. And I made the point, like, a 48-year-old mom from West Virginia doesn't read science journals. She probably has no idea what those are. So that's like something that kind of illustrates what you want when you're looking at your market's identity. You want to know these things about them. Now, you might be a little bit confused. You're looking at like books they read, daily routines, work habits, eating habits, and you're like, isn't this exactly the stuff that I said earlier in this course that you don't need to know? The answer is yes. Yes, I'm kind of contradicting myself. But here is the big caveat. We only care about things that define the market. Remember, I'm talking about finding the most narrow description that covers your whole market. If something does not define the market, leave it out. So I don't believe it's important to know what books your target customer reads unless there actually are books that most or all your ideal customers have read. Or if they are defined by, reading romance novels if you're writing to this older women demographic. But here's the thing. Some older women do read romance novels and some don't. So that's an utterly pointless thing to know unless you are selling a product that is related somehow to reading romance novels. Like maybe how to write a romance novel. I don't know. Again, something like eating habits is irrelevant to know. You don't need to know your market's eating habits unless you're selling a diet product, for example, right? You see where I'm coming from? We only care about things that matter. Like, you don't need to know where someone lives unless that matters to the product, like you're selling real estate or home renovation or some local tradesman service. So again, most market research advice tells you to go way overboard with this point and to figure this all out. I'm saying use a bit of common sense. Limit this kind of research, what you need to know, to only things that are actually in common for your target market. You don't need to go infinitely deep on this stuff. But there is one exception. Remember, right now we're talking about demographics. That is stuff like age, gender, religion, marital status, so on. Things about people. But there is one part of your market's identity where you do want to go deeper, and that is the psychographic side of things. On that, there is no limit to how deep you want to go. And so I'm going to cover that in the next video.